Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast, where we have hired a goat to come in and introduce the show.
I thought you were just talking through a fan. You know, used to do that as a kid. You remember that?
Yeah,
that was cool stuff.
I got to go pull the box fan out of the garage and do that. Yeah, I think the baby will appreciate that. And speaking of which, yeah, you can probably hear Miss Marlena on the podcast. So,
yes, we do. I think she should have her own show.
She's at the age where she probably could. Another couple of months, she'll have words, and then it'll be no good anymore.
They could be good words, though.
Could be. I was talking to my wife earlier. I wonder if babies are born into this world with all the knowledge of the universe, and all the sounds they make that we can't understand are them attempting to impart that knowledge before we start teaching them from scratch, and they lose all of it because they have to put the rudimentary bits about how to, kind of get along in the world in place of it.
Wow. Where was that bong when I came to visit? That was okay. That's a joke. That's a
That's
a very interesting concept, Mr. Shear, because we've, depending on who you listen to, we believe that when babies are first born, they do have all that knowledge of the world that is outside of our view. And yeah, that's interesting. So they have to come from that high place and kind of dumb it down a bit so we can understand them.
And then by the time we start being able to understand them, we started pushing stuff into their brain that replaces the good stuff.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of the contract they sign before they come in, I had an idea once, because, there's various conversations about, we are spirit. So we existed before we showed up in the physical form. But once you come into the physical form, there's a veil over what you held before. So what if the life we are living, the obstacles we have, we actually chose before coming over to this game? And this is a game we're playing to see how we do. And we bet on ourselves to see how we were going to handle it. And we don't find out until we die and go back and check the scorecard, which is not unlike the biblical conversation, but not exactly. We don't.
Right.
We're not having the penalty structure just like, oh, man, no, you forgot everything we taught you. We got to go back and do it again. Oh, man, not again. So that's where reincarnation comes from. It's the do-over when we screwed up the game the first time because we forgot the rules we set up before we came in. How you like that?
I like that. We're brought to you today by Kettle and Fire. These folks put together bone broth that, good for athletic recovery. Good if you are getting in swimsuit shape on the keto diet. If you're doing paleo this summer, you can get 10% off any of their packages. You can get a fasting package. You can get a keto package. You can get a paleo package. You can get some of their soups, get some of their bone broths, and anything else. 10% off with code BETTERHumanhood at kettleandfire.com. You like how I transitioned out of...
That was good. I didn't know. I didn't know we actually had an email address to send in.
Kettleandfire.com. Yeah, what did I say? Code Better Humanhood. No, use the code Better Humanhood at the website kettleandfire.com.
Oh, okay. The way you just said it, it sounded like they could email us.
No,
betterhumanhood.com at kettleandfire.com.
Yeah, no, don't.
I'd like to know that.
Don't email betterhumanhood at kettleandfire.com. It'll probably just go into their catch-all box. Go to kettleandfire.com and use code betterhumanhood.
Got it.
For 10% off.
I'm so glad I understand that now.
I'm glad you brought up a potential problem in my phrasing.
Well, it's what we're here for. It's good sometimes that I help solve the problems instead of creating them.
Welcome to the Josh and Kelvin World Domination Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go. So, here we are. It is the end of June.
Yes, it is.
How are we doing? We're halfway through the year.
Yes, we are. So how are we doing? Well, we're doing well. We're talking about us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that in the entirety of the time we have hosted JKWD podcast that we never missed a week.
Given some of the challenges we've had with that too, I think that's been awesome. I mean, we've managed to not only schedule stuff out for planned vacations, but you had a total computer meltdown. Recently, we've had episodes where the baby was just like, "No, you guys are not recording today," and somehow we still come back every week. Well,
that's right.
Before we get into what's going right, what's going wrong, this is the reason that we bring up this is halfway through the year, because this is a great time to assess where you're at. And if you feel like you need a reset, if you come to jkwdpodcast.com and you sign up for the Better Human mailing list there, then you get a free copy of resolutions for the rest of the year, which is just a little something I wrote to remind everybody that you don't need to start something on January 1. In fact, January 1 is like the worst time to start anything because you're done within 6 weeks. You just you had all the momentum of it being New Year, and then it just fizzled out when you weren't really excited. So you can start on July 8th if you want. You can start on September 1st. You can start on October 28th. You can start on December 5th and get a head start
on 2020
on all the people who are just starting to make their resolutions. Or you can wait until April 14th, but don't wait. The idea is to start today because you can. So you want a copy of that? jkwdpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list.
So and then I should sign up for a mailing list? Or did you put it already?
Well, no, I can't opt anybody in, so you should probably know what we're doing. If you want to sign up for the mailing list.
I like surprises.
So this is a good time to look back and assess what goals have you put in place? Where are you at with those goals, and what goals do you need to put in place? Even if we consider the rest of the year arbitrary, it's still the calendar is still a good marker.
I
Yeah.
Question.
How are you doing?
Bad.
How are you doing with the goals you put in place,
Bad.
and what goals do you think you need to put in place?
Let me see. I'm still breathing.
Okay, good.
Planet. Those are good. Some of the other things I plan to put into place haven't been.
Okay.
And I don't really have a why per se. I will say that I have been consistent with vitamin K, which is my creme de la creme product. I still love it. I still have not missed a day with that. Got close one day, but didn't miss it. Even with my computer hangups, man. But when I had to dump my computer for a week, took it over to the Microsoft store. Life got interesting because I had to use another computer that wasn't set up for it. But anyway, so what I've done that. I have expanded my coaching a little bit, not the to the extent that I had planned. But all in all, I've handled a lot of fires this year. That sounded like I was drunk. Handled a lot of fires this year, most of which I created, by the way. So, but yeah. But anyway, life is good. I still continue, and I really enjoy that we still have this, and I'm not done. I'm still firing stuff up. Other options have presented themselves, so things are still moving, and I still got big plans before the rest of the year.
Yeah, and also a good opportunity to mention that some of the plans that you set in place, some of the goals that you set for yourself, they may not still be relevant goals. There might be a reason why you're not hitting them, and it's because they don't matter or they're not relevant anymore. That you thought they were at one point, and now they kind of aren't.
Well, priorities do sometimes change.
That's right.
So, but that's just something to be examined. I read a meme not too long ago that says, what you think will make you happy is not necessarily what will make you happy. So those are all things to be considered. But the overall plan is still good. A little behind on a couple of milestones, but I'm still on the path. I am still on the track, even if I'm not as far down the track as I had planned to be initially.
Yeah. I did a blog series blog and podcast series on happiness, and some of the interesting things that came out of there are anticipation is a big thing in happiness. That when people, one experiment they did was they gave people a dinner at a fancy French restaurant. And some people were just sent off to the restaurant for dinner, and other people were asked when they'd like to go. And most of them said in a week. And what they found was that people spent that week feeling happy about anticipating that nice dinner. And then the dinner was also nice. But they were happy for an extra week because they were thinking about the dinner. And other studies show that when you make a goal, when you set a goal for yourself, ticking off the milestones on the way to that goal make you happier than reaching the goal.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah, because when you reach the goal, you're done. You've got nothing to strive for anymore. But making the progress is what hits your happiness receptors.
Well, I will say I can agree with that just like, making baskets on the way to the end of your basketball game makes you happy, and winning that basketball game makes you happy, but playing the next game makes you happy too.
Right. But once you finish the basketball game, you won, you're happy. Now you got to get ready for the next one.
Right.
Which is why, when we've done episodes on goals, one of the things that we say is have a plan for the next goal when you accomplish this one.
Right. Absolutely.
And the reason for that is because sometimes you reach the end of a goal. Sometimes you hit your goal, and the way the researchers put this was sometimes reaching a goal is just like taking off your backpack at the end of a long hike.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a little bit of relief and the happiness that comes from that, but that's it. Like you were just gonna take off the backpack anyway, and you're done with the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So now, do you define the rest of your life by having reached that goal, or do you set for yourself, a new thing to go after and make yourself happy on the way there?
Well, as life would have it, there are a lot of people who regard the one big goal as something to be treasured for the rest of their life. And I would be lying to you if I said that's not me. Because this past year, there have been a number of occasions when I alluded to past accomplishments, right, that I did really, really well at, like it was a trophy. Like I did that, but, without going, I need to do that again.
Right.
Time to get back and have that next goal, because you can only live on past goals for so long before it's like, you know what?
Yeah, and that's great for we talked about affirmations recently.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great to have that kind of I did this trophy,
Mm-hmm.
but to define the rest of your life by it and to not do anything new on top of it.
Yeah.
It makes it difficult to move forward I would even argue maybe even as a complete human being,
Well,
living in 20 years ago or whatever.
It has been documented that we need to continually get better. The act of getting better, not necessarily monumentally, but just little improvements continually good, because we know we're growing. Because once we stop doing any of that, we're not growing anymore, and we can get stagnant pretty quick.
Yeah.
So it sounds a lot like what you were saying, actually.
Yeah. Stagnant bad.
So yeah. So how about you? How are you stacked up with
well, things are going generally well here. Mixed bag. I came into the year not really with too much of a concrete plan, because we had a baby right before the year started, and being our first child, no idea what to expect, no idea what kind of time I would have for me and to get things done. And so far, the first couple of months were kind of difficult setting that up for myself. But I've relaunched the Better Humanhood podcast. That's been coming out every week. Finding time to record is sometimes hard, but somehow we've managed it. I got the blog started back up at joshshear.com, and one of the things that I've done early on is the podcast is basically an audio version of the blog, for now.
Okay.
So I write a blog post, and then basically I read the blog post for the podcast. So it's multi-purpose content, but it's consistency, and I try to add a little bit onto the podcast, so that it's slightly different at least. So you wouldn't get the same thing if you had a screen reader read the blog post to you.
Yes.
And some things lend themselves better to writing than to audio. And then if I do things like put a YouTube video in the blog post, I can't run it on the podcast.
Yes, that's true.
So there are differences, but in an effort to accomplish the thing that I wanted to accomplish, which is getting consistency on the blog and on the podcast, I've simplified the process some, and I may be able to complicate that later and make the two things diverge some. But for now, this is working for me, in letting me accomplish the thing that I set out to do. The thing where I started the year off struggling is with more of a personal health and fitness thing, because, well, sleep is a big deal in terms of health and fitness. And then so is things like getting to the gym. So making the time when my wife is home and I'm not working has been very difficult. Sometimes that's like 4 a.m. But I was blessed to have a friend who moved into a place where he no longer needed his home gym equipment. So his deal was, hey, if you can pick it up and haul it off, it is yours. Now I have a bunch of weights sitting in my garage that I've been using. So throughout the month of June, I set myself a specific workout. I'm still not running because, I just don't have the capacity with the baby. It'd be unfair to her to strap her into the stroller when it's 95 degrees out and go to the lake for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So, we try to get to the mall and walk around in the air conditioning some. And, I don't own a treadmill or anything, but, I do have a jump rope, so I can get some cardio in. And I got the weight set. So through the month of June, I set a specific workout for myself. And I have a chart up on the fridge, and I set some dietary goals. And so I've just got a little spreadsheet hanging on the fridge. Hey, when you do this, check it off. When you do this, check it off. When you do this, check it off. And I've got my wife to say, hey, you didn't check that thing off yet.
She's wonderful to have around, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. She said, how can I support you in your project? I said, look on the fridge. If I'm not checking something off, find out why.
There you go.
I am doing well in a couple of those measures, and I'm back on track on some others. I'm still finding myself a little unfocused on growing the business some. In terms of, I thought that for example, finding good hats,
Mm-hmm.
I thought would be easier than it is, and it is not. So instead of plowing through, I just put it aside until I get energy toward that again. So some things I'm a little behind on, some things I'm refocused on, some things I'm doing well on, and I think some of the things that I'm a little behind on, I'm okay being behind on until I get some of the other more foundational stuff in better shape.
Okay.
I feel like I rambled there, but
Oh, well, there's rambling and then there's rambling. No, you just explained. So that's good. So with both of us. So what about what's so I don't know if you have your yardstick for the year and so we're about, are you about the 6 inch mark, or you eased up to 7.5, or you're back at 3.5, or do we even want to even think about that kind?
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I don't know that having I don't know that you can grow something and have it be, grow something for the long term and then have the end of the year be like the end of a measuring stick. Like, I mean, I get large established companies looking back quarterly and annually, and I think we're not quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully we'll be able to someday look back quarterly and annually and say, oh, okay, we did this, we can improve on this. But I think we're still an ongoing work in progress. But happy with where I'm at, and I'm going to start using. I haven't used month markers much, but this like this month with my wellness ritual, I'm going to take some of that stuff into July. I'm going to take meditation into July. Is I've made it a point to do that first thing when I wake up. Yeah, even if the baby's awake, if she wants to play on her mat or if she wants to just sit and chill in my lap, I'm just putting on a 10-minute meditation and going with it. And could I be doing more? Should I be doing more? Sure, but I think you start where you can start and you grow from there. And if tomorrow I successfully run a 15-minute meditation, I shouldn't make that a new expectation. When some days getting 10 minutes in is tough, right? So I think that 10 minutes is still impactful in my life, and I'm going to continue with it.
You doing the guided meditations or just Zen?
Yeah, I'm using Oak Meditation, which is only available for iPhone right now.
Okay.
But so they have 3 different meditation exercises. One is a mindfulness. One is a loving kindness meditation, and the third is an unguided one. So they'll still play a sound and give you a chime at the end. They also have some breath work exercises, some breathing exercises, and they have a couple of sleep programs.
Yes.
So yeah, and
I'll check them out.
It's free. I don't think there's any kind of. I don't even think there's an upgrade. Oh, looks like they do have a. Well, this says there's a course, but it's 10 days of mantra meditation. And yeah, so they do have an in-app purchase there, but there's not like an upgrade outside of 10 days. Like some of the other sites have,
Lots
some of the
of
other
other
programs.
sites. I still use the main one I was using, which is Cuvana, but I haven't been as these days. I mean, I use those sporadically.
Mm-hmm.
When I do meditation, normally it's just me. I did get into doing a couple of affirmation tapes. Wow, what year was I born in? Audios, just me talking to myself and choosing music of my choice. Some of which are like binaural beats, which because I still having played with the Silva Method, love that stuff. So they got me into using the binaural beats and those sounds that help me get into beta or theta. Nice. But I do some on my own, just for my own, because sometimes I told myself that the mind responds better when it's my voice that's hearing, rather than somebody else telling me what I'm going to be doing. But if I have created a guided meditation on my own, and my mind hears me, it has more impact.
Oh, sure, that makes total sense actually, because you better, and like you're a trusted expert.
I am. So that's been good stuff. So and
binaural beats, if anybody's unsure, is where you put on headphones, because it doesn't really work if you don't have a surround sound, and you get one frequency pumped into one ear and one frequency pumped into the other ear, and your brain
has to match.
Creates a third frequency to tie them together, and so what it does is it activates your brain, and since we know what the speed of the waves are of your different of different brain states, alpha, beta, theta, gamma, then they can target those, and each of those those waves have a speed, and that speed corresponds to a sound. So when you create a sound, when your brain has to create a sound in that particular range, it sets your brain into that. It sets your brain into that state.
Yes.
Which is something I actually use for naps. I get myself into theta so that I don't go too deep into sleep. And often I'll have kind of a meditative experience.
I like them. I've had a couple who were very deep, and I actually listen to them when I go to sleep.
Oh, sure, yeah.
30 minutes, and it's like, man, I go deep.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. So, again, my routines haven't been as routine as they might be, but I always had my fallbacks when things aren't quite going like I want to. I always have my fallbacks where I know, okay, this is where I'm going to catch up. This is how I'm going to regain my center at this point, and those work for me. So, getting the specific routine down isn't quite it. I haven't created, for instance, a standard morning routine, which I know, the morning, was it the morning miracle morning?
Miracle morning.
I haven't done that quite that way, but strangely enough, I'm still getting up early. I had work, we had that whole thing on sleep patterns, and I actually got better for a while with sleeping longer. Now, I'm sleeping less than I was, because I can go to bed at 5 o'clock and wake up at 6:45. Just crazy.
Well, you were always waking up early. It was the making it a habit to go to bed at like 11 instead of 5. Yeah.
I still got to get that process back together. But at any rate, that's how that's going. So We're still moving. I am enjoying life. There are challenges, but you know, challenges are better when you can handle them, when you have the right mindset to get through them.
That's true.
And that's still the stuff I'm doing and still the stuff I'm teaching. So it's a wonderful thing. I enjoy living, even though it's been raining. It's been raining in upstate New York. It's not snowing anymore, but it's raining a lot. But it's just good. I kind of enjoy being on the planet. All in all, I enjoy being on a planet. So every day that I wake up is a good day.
Sounds like a good day to me.
It's a good day. So, and if any of our listening audience misses that point, that waking up is the start of a good day, I don't really suggest you try not waking up one day, but it's a life-changing experience to say the least, based on my research. So, yeah, I'm opting for that one.
Good call.
That one, because I know that every day I wake up, I can exercise control, and the fact that we're exercising control is what helps make the rest of it go so well.
Great. So, takeaways: good time to reassess, control where you're at, control where you're going, get her done.
Get her done. You're going to make me listen to that now. I'm going to have to go find that video. Get her done. All right. It's been good hanging out with you, Mr. Shear.
This has been fun. Thank you for being here. Thanks, everybody, for listening. jkwdpodcast.com for show notes, etc. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout at kettleandfire.com. Visit kettleandfire.com. Put a bunch of stuff in your cart to make your life better, and then use code BetterHumanhood at checkout for 10% off. That avoid the potential email address confusion.
Much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And y'all. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye. A Better Humanhood production.